Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of Deathedge's Wrestling Corner. I am your host, Deathedge, the host with the most. Now, before you begin, I know what you're thinking. Why am I here? Well, it's simple. I want to review wrestling. I'm sick of typing up on my blog, although I'm still going to put my videos on my blog. And for the record, the reason why I'm doing I only have like a picture is because I currently do not have a webcam. The second I get a webcam, I will be doing legitimate videos. Although I guess I should point out that's a lot easier to be doing this like this because I don't think WWE will call copyright on just a picture. When I use footage, I know that my videos will probably get yanked off YouTube. So, anyway, let's just jump right into it. The first episode of Monday Night Raw that I will be reviewing, although this is episode 996. 4 more weeks to 1,000, baby. So, okay, let's get started. The show started with CM Punk, Kane, and Daniel Bryan. There was like a clip show of their little love square with AJ, and I gotta say I love the angle still. It did develop just a little bit tonight, but it looks like it's starting to come to a close. I think it'll be over by SummerSlam. So after the little clip show, it also shows AJ. It sounds like she was practicing to break up with all of them. She started out saying that it would be better for her and Daniel to, you know, go apart, and then said that she wants that Kane is a monster, even though he makes her, I'm not making this up either, makes her want to go wild. Yeah, that's the message you need to be sending those little girl kids. Oh yeah, WWE PG. And then Punk, she said that she thinks of them as soulmates, but he doesn't think the same. Yeah, so soulmates. If she honestly thinks they're soulmates, then that means she would think that he would return the favor, but whatever. And it just sounded like she was getting ready to break up with all of them. And so then, of course, the opener. And for the record, I have got to tell you, sorry about the kind of awkward awkward stoppage there. I had to stop recording because something was going on. Anyway, my apologies. Let's get back on topic. So yeah, the AJ stuff happens, and then the opening starts, and I've got to tell you, Burn It to the Ground is the worst Raw theme ever. Even the first theme, which was just like a synth funk type, well, not synth fuck, it was like a funk. It was like a synthesizer tune type deal going. It did not sound that bad. The one that I always like, I actually loved Wanna Be Loved, but my favorite one was probably the one that was used throughout most of the Attitude Era. But yeah, anyway. Oh, and All of the Nation or whatever it was called, that one was great. Anyway, just wanted to get that out of the way. The guest GM opens up the show, Vickie Guerrero, and she was saying, "Excuse me," constantly with her old shtick. The shtick's starting to get old, and as I will get into later, the Vickie Guerrero character as a whole is starting to get pretty old. But regardless, we start off with the excellent triple threat match that she made between Daniel Bryan, Kane, and CM Punk. Basically, what happens, I'm not going to go in a real in-depth play-by-play, but it was a decent match, and eventually AJ comes out there and distracts Kane while he was trying to give Punk a chokeslam. Punk manages to counter out of it and gives Kane the GTS, and don't worry, he didn't botch it. I know a lot of people probably still remember the botch that he did on Kane a couple years ago because Kane was way too big for him to be doing it on. I think Punk's kind of bulked up just a little bit, not too much. Anyway, after that, though, he pinned Kane and eliminated him. It was an elimination style. I forgot to mention that. And then Bryan nails Punk in the back of the head and manages to get the 1, 2, 3. And of course, Brian celebrates with his whole yes, yes, yes. By the way, crowd's really into it. I'm beginning to think that they might have to turn Daniel face real soon, or they'll just try to find a way to make him look like a bigger jerk off that than he already has been looking lately. Anyway, after that, Del Rio gives roses to Vickie, and Ziggler gets jealous and tosses the vase into the wall. It was kind of a pointless sketch, and I will tell you why it was entirely pointless. The only thing accomplished was a number one contenders contract on a pole match between Ziggles and Del Rio. And again, I will tell you why that was entirely pointless, and the show could have gone on without it when I get to the match. Now, what I will say is that this is when the Vickie character shows me how old the shtick's starting to get. We all know what her shtick is. She has a really annoying voice, and she dates younger men. That character was actually interesting. It was interesting for a while, but people aren't booing her as much as they used to, and it's just starting to get old. They need to find a way to either give Dolph a big development or give Vickie a big development, and I hope they decide to give Dolph a big development. I was actually hoping Dolph would go solo, but clearly he didn't. So then, next, Brodus Clay versus Big Show. This match, it was really just a squash match. It was Big Show basically running through Brodus. What I did like is that they did let Brodus fight back, but it wasn't really enough for me to not say this was a squash. It was just a squash where the jobber gets a little bit of defense. Now, what I do need to point out is Brodus was not really all that over. Maybe the crowd there just wasn't as into it. I'm not really sure where they were tonight. I wasn't really paying attention when they announced what city they were in. But maybe it was just that particular crowd. But it could also be that Brodus is starting to lose overness. We might need to keep an eye on that. I hope he's not. I actually like Brodus Clay. You know, funk is gonna roll. Funk is gonna roll. Somebody call my mama. I mark out every time I hear it. I'm sorry. I promise I will never sing that again. So then, Colin Lawler talked about the Make-A-Wish Foundation. John Cena granted his 300th wish. Say what you will about Cena. Cena does a lot for the kids, and he is a legitimately compassionate human being. So, I'm not going to bash that. I'm not going to really talk about it. I just think it was nice. He's made his 300th wish, so. And then it showed the highlights of Bob Barker guest hosting Raw. And Bob Barker, the only thing that was kind of funny was Barker said that he promises a rematch to, I believe, Chavo Guerrero on the 2000th episode of Raw. No. It was Chris Jericho. I'm sorry. So then, it showed during commercial they had Show attack Clay, and he knocked him out with the punch. And then another clip, shocker, with Triple H talking about, it showed the Heyman Lesnar stuff from the pay-per-view Elimination Chamber. Then it showed Heyman getting punched. And next week, because it can't be this week, Lesnar will answer Triple H's SummerSlam challenge. Wonder if Lesnar will actually show. I think he will, since he only shows when advertised. If they tease him, then he won't come. But if they actually say that he'll come, he usually comes. So then backstage, it shows AJ talking to Kane, and Kane says that he even thinks AJ is crazy. He also says that he's not boyfriend material, and I was like, oh gee, no crap. Although I guess I should point out he wasn't exactly saying this when he was in love with Lita or Kelly Kelly. Now, I guess maybe he's learned from his mistakes, but I'm actually kind of happy because after AJ said Kane had a heart, I was kind of horrified at the idea of them making Kane into a lovey-dovey pit bull puppy. And Lord knows that they made him into a lovey-dovey pit bull puppy, I would probably lose it because Kane's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Not so much for his wrestling ability, but for his character. But anyway, she began crying. Then she began laughing like a psycho. I mean, seriously. She makes the Joker look sane when she laughs. Kind of scared me. She's becoming more scary by the day. So then, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm not even going to go into detail at this. I feel sorry for Jack Swagger. He didn't get an entrance. He had to job to Santino Marella. To be fair, it wasn't really a job match, but the fact that Jack Swagger, a former World Heavyweight Champion, had to job to the Cobra again, because I know this ain't the first time, makes me sad. Before anyone says that Santino's awesome and the Cobra's awesome, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I love Santino. I think he's one of the most charismatic guys on the roster. I think he's one of the better wrestlers on the roster. Now have him stop using his hand puppet for a finisher. The only guy who can get away with that is Mick Foley. And also, the mandible claw was a little bit more believable than just jabbing your hand into someone's throat. Although I guess I could see how that would hurt. But you don't need a sock puppet to do it. At this point, he may as well just tape up his hand and do it like Umaga used to with the Samoan spike. Oh, and I did like Umaga too. R.I.P. I know he passed away, but I'm not going to think I'm breaking anyone's heart by bashing the Samoan spike because everyone said most of the list of worst finishers ever have that on there, and I hope most of them have the Cobra on there. I haven't looked at one in a while, so. But then after that, we saw Cena head out there, and what was kind of funny, it showed him pick up a People Power shirt, and then Zack Ryder showed up with a what the heck look, toss it in the garbage, and apparently they're completely cool now. Which, did I miss something? I mean, sometimes I admit I don't watch Raw. I plan on watching it every day now. Obviously that's on. But, did I just completely miss something? Because last time I checked, Zack was still mad at Cena over the Eve thing. Can anyone fill me in on that? Hopefully this actually gets views, so. Next, Cena came out there, and he talked about his earlier tweets. He tweeted something really stupid before he tweeted how he was going to have a major announcement. And then he made a really, really weird comparison between Star Wars and what's going on in the Day-to-Day universe, talking about how Big Show turned to the Emperor Laurinaitis, and he became Show Vader. Oh my, I swear I'm not making that up. That's what he said, or Vader Show. Either way, it was a horrible name. And the promo was just weird. The only saving grace was that when he talked about Yoda McMahon, he compared Vince McMahon to Yoda, and he said that he did like a spot-on Yoda impersonation, saying that you have no chance. Well, no chance in hell you have, or something like that. I can't really remember what he said. I just remembered the fired you are part. The only thing I didn't like is Cena began laughing at his own joke, which is never cool. I mean, who does that? Wait. Anyway, Jericho came out there, the lights went out, Jericho came out there in his little light-up jacket, and Jericho says the same thing I was thinking, what in the hell are you talking about? And Cena gives a little kudos to Jericho, they go back and forth, Cena says that he's putting himself in the Money in the Bank match, Jericho says that Cena's arrogant, and points out that he invented the Money in the Bank match, and then Jericho puts himself in, and the whole time I'm thinking, do they have this authority? I mean, I know Cena is like the company face, but I don't think he is part of the corporate. And I know Jericho isn't. But then Vickie comes out there because, you know, she's running this thing tonight. Kind of. I will tell you kind of in a second. She comes out there and says that the board of directors determined that this year's Money in the Bank will be WWE champions only. I'm going to warn you, I'm about to go off on a tangent. The participants in this year's Raw Money in the Bank are Big Show, Kane, John Cena, and Chris Jericho. This year's Money in the Bank is a fatal 4-way ladder match. No. The first ever one was 6 men. They eventually made it 8 men. It is one of the most chaotic ladder matches ever in WWE. It has produced some of the most chaotic moments in the PG era. I'm not going to say that the ones that happened before the PG era was full on, produced some of the most chaotic moments ever, but they were pretty dang good. They were all good, they were all chaotic, and you never knew who was going to win. Now, not only is Money in the Bank now not being used to push new people, which is what it should be, maybe the SmackDown one will be, I hope it is, but I'm sure it could potentially be former World Heavyweight Champions will be in it, which maybe, because Dolph's a former World Heavyweight Champion, and a lot of the former World Heavyweight Champions are guys who have not been getting pushed lately. That being said, I'm still not going to like it. It should be still 6 men. They could have added 2 former WWE champions. And if they... I get why they don't want it to be 8 men anymore. But still, just leave it with the original idea. Go back to the original 6-man idea. Not to mention, the idea of any of these men winning it defeats the purpose. It should be used to push a new name. That is what it has been primarily used for since its inception, and by God, that's how it should be. Maybe this doesn't tick you guys off, but it irritates the heck out of me. But anyway, after that, Cena pokes fun at Vickie, saying that she doesn't have that much power, and she has to follow orders from the board of directors. And then Vickie books Cena versus Jericho for the first time. She says ever, even though right after that she says it's been about 2 years. Couldn't she have just said for the first time in 2 years? I don't get why WWE likes to over-exaggerate anything. And I know they're trying to promote towards the new crowd, but they have to keep in mind the old fans are going to feel like WWE saying, we're stupid. We don't remember this. I remember full well when Jericho got thrown out of Raw in a dumpster. Well, okay, fine. Trash compactor or truck or whatever you want to call it. I remember it full well. And I feel stupid whenever WWE says that I don't remember it. Anyway, there's a commercial, and then, okay, this next part, I gotta tell you, it shocked the crap out of me. Lillian says that she's introducing this week's special guest, a former 2-time world, but she gets cut off by the theme music of the one-man Southern rock band, Heath Slater. I think he's an okay wrestler, but boy, oh boy, he should not be allowed to pick up a mic. But lately, I've kind of liked that WWE's letting him get punched around by all the legends, because at least it's sort of getting Heath, a younger guy, some exposure, even if it's probably going to end after the 1000th episode of Raw. But he begins cutting a promo and eventually says that he's the man who rules the world. And the second he said that, I was like, no way. But then sure enough, the crazy music hits, and out comes Psycho Sid. And I was like, holy crap. Because, don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest Sid fan, but this is what I've wanted for a long time. I've wanted WWE to surprise us. Don't pull out the same legends out of your butt every week. Don't get me wrong, I love Roddy Piper, but I don't love Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I'm not that big a Sergeant Slaughter fan. I mean, I enjoy his appearances, but I wanted to see some newer how do I put this? Newer blasts from the past. That sounds kind of hypocritical, but I think most people know what I mean. And seeing Sid was kind of a markout for me, but I did notice this. Vader still got the biggest reaction, bar none. And I'm a major Vader fan, so I think it's going to stay that way, and I hope it stays that way, and I wouldn't be against WWE bringing him back more often. But yeah, Sid basically runs through Heath. Heath didn't really even get to hold his own. And he looked to be in better shape than I expected, but it's Sid Vicious. He's been kind of out of shape for a while now. Even his WCW days, he didn't seem like he was in the best of shape. Oh, and not to mention, he enjoys hanging out at kids' softball games. So I wasn't expecting him to be in as good a shape he was. Now then, there's the Del Rio Dolph Ziggler match, and I will tell you why it was pointless. What eventually happens is they go up to get the contract on the pole, and Dolph comes down with it, but he loses it. And they begin like crawling around trying to pick it up and pummeling each other. At one point, Ricardo goes in to try to get for Alberto, but Dolph drop kicks the crap out of him, and the contract goes flying out of the ring. And then eventually, Alberto and Dolph both go tumbling out on the other side of the ring. So then Sheamus comes out there and says that Vickie just said that all three of you, it's going to be a triple threat match on SmackDown for the World Heavyweight title. And all I could think was, then why didn't she book this in the first place? I was even sitting there thinking, why doesn't she just make it a triple threat match? That it would make more sense for a character to do that, because then she, on top of giving Alberto an opportunity, because Alberto's a heel, she's looking out on the part of her man, Dolph Ziggler, and with the way she was about to do it, Dolph could have potentially not gotten the world title match. So it kind of made Vickie kind of go against Dolph a little bit. But maybe I'm overanalyzing it, but the point is, it made the match completely pointless. Because basically both of them got the shot anyway, and Vickie could have did that to begin with, which basically means that this match is more filler than the Psycho Sid match okay, fine, that's not really filler, but you get what I mean. The Jack Swagger match and the Big Show Bros. Clay match. Now, in the 10 Diva Battle Royal, but before we get to that, there was one other part that I do need to talk about. AJ walked up to Punk and said that she wants to make it up to Punk, and then Punk says that they need to have a serious discussion. AJ says that she knows that he's going to want to talk about going to the next level, and Punk, he does not look thrilled. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking AJ doesn't have the heart to break up with all three of them, so she's trying to make it to where they break up with her, and by doing the way she is doing this is by doing what she knows that they don't want to do or don't want to hear. But my other theory is AJ's actually with Daniel. And I think the end of the Battle Royal might bring some credence to that, because AJ wins. The only real memorable part of it was Vickie came out there at one point, and she began pushing the Divas out of the way. This was actually the best part of the show for me. And by the way, I should point out this, well, I'll get into that at the final analysis. She came out there, began pushing the Divas and showing off in front of the Divas, and she got into a bathing suit. That was this Battle Royals gimmick. All 10 of them had on swimsuits. And they all, of course, attack her as soon as the match starts when she gets down into her bathing suit. But eventually AJ eliminates Vickie last to win. And then afterwards she begins doing yes, yes, yes chants. That could be WWE dropping a hint, but it could also be them kind of just playing on the fact that AJ doesn't like Daniel no more. If I may go off on just another little tangent, next Tuesday's live SmackDown is the Great American Bash. I think that is an insult to the original WCW pay-per-view. I think it is more proof that WWE has very little to any respect for the former WCW name. And is next Friday, is Tuesday the 4th of July? I believe it is. So, you know what? No, it's not. That's on Wednesday. I get it. It's supposed to be a 4th of July special, but come on, just call it a 4th of July special. You don't have to call it the Great American Bash. And what makes it even more insulting is that it's the B Show. It's the show that never has the main eventers. And if it does have the main eventers, they never wrestle. Anyway, back to the main show, the parts that I know you guys actually do care about. After the commercial for that, of course we get tonight's main event. Y2J, Chris Jericho versus John Cena, and it's nothing you've never seen before. We've seen this match before. They haven't gotten too far away from how they used to wrestle 2 years ago. And it was an okay match. Even by Cena standards, it was okay. It ends with a little bit of a counter exchange, but eventually Big Show comes out there when Jericho has Cena locked in the walls of Jericho. And then Show leg drops Cena, giving Cena the win by disqualification. Jericho, to be honest, I thought he looked like he was about to cry. I think he was supposed to look scared, but instead he looked really sad. But then Jericho basically said, go ahead, and he laughed, and Big Show decked Cena and locked him in the Colossal Clutch. Why does Big Show have to have a submission finisher? Or is that... Well, I guess that might be a signature, but still, why does he have to have a special submission at all? He's a 400-something-pound monster. He doesn't need a submission. The punch or the choke slam work perfectly fine. Anywho, after that, Big Show stares down the ref, and the show ends. And I imagine that after the show, he attacks the ref, or maybe he just leaves. Either way, tonight's Raw, it wasn't bad, but it was stupid. It felt like none of this really needed to be there, and aside from moving along the AJ Love Square and getting some matches on the card for Money in the Bank, well, one match on the card for Money in the Bank, I don't feel like it established anything. Oh, I do think that they announced one match for Money in the Bank. I did see something with Daniel Bryan, I think, but I wasn't paying too much attention. I was like, I just got back into the room watching it, so I probably did miss something, and I apologize. But either way, I don't think the show really established too much, and it was just kind of a stupid show. Everything felt pointless. The matches even felt a little pointless, beyond a little rematch from Elimination Chamber, and it literally had a completely pointless match. So, tonight's Raw, I can just sum it up as pointless and stupid. Was it bad? No. I thought it was okay. It was just pointless. So, right, let me get on to the three main points of the night. The flop of the night was a completely pointless match being booked at the contract match. It could have gone on. It could have just been Vickie booking them in a triple threat match, and then, I don't know, having a Ryback squash. I would have rather had that. At least it would have furthered Ryback's push. Or Tinsy or something. The match of the night, it was probably Jericho Cena. Well, no, it was a triple threat match. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, was definitely a triple threat match. That was the best match of the night. It had the most drama, and it had the best wrestling on tonight. And you do have to keep in mind this is Raw, and the matches on Raw are typically not very good. By the way, I hate going right back to this, but seeing how they made a completely pointless match, that just shows that they can barely fill 2 hours. What do you think's going to happen when they go to 3 hours? Lots and lots and lots of filler. And the thing is, I keep on hearing rumors that WWE has put Raw on a higher priority than pay-per-views, which is a massive mistake. I'll get into that tomorrow, because I'm already going a little bit longer than I had expected to, so I don't want to drag on forever. Anyway, the surprise of the night, bar none, Psycho Sid. I did not see that coming, and I try not to find any spoiler alerts before Raw or SmackDown. That way I'm actually watching it and I'm still surprised by whatever happens. So if it didn't surprise you guys, well, you ruined it for yourselves. So yeah, that's it for tonight's Raw. It was stupid, pointless, and this is Deathedge signing off, hoping you listen, hoping you enjoy the show, and please, please tell your friends this show exists. I don't want to sound desperate, but I cannot get anyone watching my videos. I will start controversy if I cannot get people watching my videos. I will begin saying crazy crap just to get people watching me. Anyway, I'm kidding. I don't care if you guys watch me or not, but I hope you enjoy the show if you did watch. This is Deathedge signing off.